It's Wednesday, September 8th. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, Futurama.
Let's do this.
And now we're actually back from PAX.
How are we now?
No, we're not actually back. We recorded like 4 weeks worth of shows the night before we flew out.
Actually, no. This is September 8th.
No, it's August 31st.
Okay.
Yeah, we're recording like a bunch of shows.
Sure.
All right, Scott, if this is the future, then tell me what happened at PAX.
I'll tell you everything that happened at PAX in another episode. I don't really feel like it now, but if I have to say one thing to prove that PAX happened, I can say that the final round of the Omegathon was the Omega Claw. Yeah, okay. Omega Claw. I win.
So for any of you who are new listeners or you're wondering what's going on, Geek Nights is 4 different shows, 4 nights a week. Mondays like science and neckbeards and all that. Tuesdays is what you want. Tuesdays is your gaming. But, I ran into a lot of anime fans at PAX. We saw 3 Anime World Order hoodies at PAX.
In fact, I think one of them was the same guy twice. But during one of our panels, we were like, hey, who watches anime? And a whole bunch of people raised their hand. But clearly they weren't hardcore anime fans because we said, who has seen or heard of Summer Wars? And almost nobody.
But a bunch of the enforcers really watched anime. One of the cool guys I was talking to after the Late Show was all about Fist of the North Star.
No snap.
Yeah.
So was our recent interview, Mark O'Sullivan, was all about Fist of the North Star.
It's kind of cool that you go to Otakon and like the people there are really not anime fans. Or when I say Otakon, I guess I use that to mean like any anime con. A lot of people are not super into anime. They're kind of just there and into anime culture, and they watch a little bit of anime. But all the random people I kind of talked to at PAX where anime came up, they were just kind of casual anime fans, and they'd seen way more anime than the average anime con attendee.
Well, I think they've just seen more better anime because they're only watching the good stuff, whereas the so-called anime fans at the anime cons are watching tons of crap like Naruto and Bleach, which are tons and tons of episodes that are really terrible.
But is there really tons of anime? I mean, they're watching tons of individual episodes, but not tons of different shows.
That's true. It's exactly right. Whereas the more casual fans are watching only the really quality popular stuff or the stuff from their youth, but they're watching all this good stuff, such as, Ghost in the Shell movies and Miyazaki movies.
See, what was funny, though, at least some of the enforcers I was talking to in a gaggle on Saturday were talking about how, they were really into, like, Naruto and Bleach and One Piece. Yeah.
That's interesting.
But then they also had seen Cowboy Bebop and Ghost in the Shell and all that.
All right.
I mean, remember, when I got into anime, I was watching Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon.
I did not.
Of course, when I really got into anime, I watched Vampire Hunter D and Project Echo, but...
I did. All right.
Yeah, I did both. But the funny thing is, of the Anime World Order hoodie people, one of them, and I didn't catch his name because we saw him like we were getting in the elevator like Saturday night to go pass out. And this guy's like walking by in the lobby. We're like, yo, Anime World Order. And he's like, yo, Geeknights, what up? I used to listen to you, but I disagreed with you about some anime, so I stopped listening.
He was like, yeah, I disagreed with you about some of the stuff you said. But he was totally friendly. He wasn't like, I hate you guys.
Yeah.
Fuck you. It's just like, what's up? I'm like, oh, all right.
But I was like, what'd you disagree with? Let's talk about it. He was like, I don't want to talk about it. See you later.
Yeah. I'm like, all right, cool.
So, Anime World Order, Daryl and Gerald and Clarissa, find out who that guy is and find out what he didn't like. I want to talk to him.
Or stop making your listeners hate us.
See, we got to cut to this person.
We don't make our listeners hate you.
We used to.
We should.
Not on purpose, though.
It'll be a war.
You want to have a war?
Podcast war.
It'd be hard
I'll have to get my top hat and monocle for war.
It'd be very difficult to have a war with those guys. Because what am I going to say? I'm like, yeah, Hokuto no Ken is awesome. They're like, fuck yeah.
We'll have to say it sucks.
But could you really say that? We used to say it sucked.
We'll have to say that
I used to say it sucked a long time ago, but you know what? I was wrong. I was stupid. I was young. I didn't know what was up.
Well, it doesn't matter. There's no point in having a war with someone who is already dead.
I must be causing so much trouble for Emily. Every time anyone who speaks Japanese is around, because she speaks Japanese, she hangs out with people who speak Japanese. I pretty much cannot stop myself from saying "omae wa mo shinderu," or at least being like "ore," and just I don't know. I'm weird.
Why do you do that?
I just do.
I think you need to eject the Stan Lee from your body.
I'm not bolding when I say "omae wa mo shinderu."
But it's equally corny. In fact, perhaps even more corny.
Is it really corny, or is it?
Because I mean, even Stan Lee, while he'll say things like "Excelsior" or stuff like that, or
See, I don't think it's corny. I will argue that what I do is just weird.
it's corny.
Nah, corny is this whole different level.
It causes everyone near you to groan in pain. Therefore, you should not do it. Everyone just goes, "Oh God, stop that." That's just.
So I was trying to buy some anime on the Amazon.
Why were you buying anime on the Amazon? Is it not the anime you wanted? Not on Netflix?
Netflix is dub only.
It's not on Crunchyroll.
Actually, no, it's not on Crunchyroll.
Is it anywhere? So what anime did you want that you had to get on DVD?
Well, Emily has never seen Trigun.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that's probably the only gap in her anime watching experience at this point. I mean, she's into anime as much as we are, and that's the only show I can think of.
Trigun was one of my favorite shows when I first saw it. It's still one of my favorite shows. But
Trigun's
I
in
never,
my top 5.
I never got the whole box. I think I only bought the final DVD for some reason.
Yeah, because we had to watch the
But anyway, we never got the full box set because it was always like $1 zillion, and it never got cheap, and they never made a thin pack.
Yeah, so it got re-released. It's like $32 on Amazon.
Snap!
Pre-order. It comes out in like October, but whatever.
So
$32, no shipping, basically no sales tax. This is why anime con dealers do not get my money anymore, because in the last like 3 years,
you walk in there, you look at the box set on the table.
No, I go to like the $5 bin, and I'm like, all right, here's a box set for $5. I go on Amazon, $3.99, use no shipping. All right, great.
It'll be sent to my house. I don't have to carry it home. It'll be there when I get home.
I came to a sad revelation because I was like, oh yeah, and I pre-ordered Trigun like nobody's business.
I can just tap a few
$32.
buttons on my phone and I have it.
$32 pre-ordered, good to go. And then after I pre-order, it recommends at the bottom like you might also like these. And I saw Gankutsuo, a show that I really liked. Like if Trigun is an A anime, Gankutsuo was like a B+. It only doesn't get the A because the ending was bullshit.
I think I saw most of the show, but I don't think I saw the ending.
Oh, good. Basically, watch up to that climax, the really awesome climax.
With the robot fight?
Yeah.
I saw that.
And then the denouement, like right after the robot fight.
I think I saw 1 or 2 episodes after.
And after, Albert and everybody, like everything kind of gets on and everybody's having their like badminton moment, just don't watch anymore. Because the end is really fucking stupid.
So just stop at the salad days?
The end is, salad days. Beyond that, everything's really fucking stupid and nobody's up for tennis.
Okay.
So
Anyone fancy a game of tennis?
Gankutsuo, that was a good show. Maybe I should buy it. I wouldn't mind showing that to someone else, maybe watching it again. And then I looked and it was like $13.
That's a really good price for the whole show.
But then I thought about it and I realized that $13 is really not worth it because at that point, the space that those DVDs take up in my apartment is almost not worth owning the show because maybe I'll watch it again once ever. Maybe I'll lend it to someone once or twice. But that's really it. I can't think of anyone I know I'm going to lend Gankutsuo to that I don't already have to lend, like Bebop, Ava, Eska, Trigun, Eska Flow.
If it was $13, right, for like
that's like 50 cents an episode.
For HD downloads that were free of DRM,
I might have bought it.
I would have bought that.
Yeah.
But for DVDs, it's like I don't want these DVDs taking up room in my house. But also, I heard from a reliable source that there were extras on the original DVDs, and that thin case does not have the extras.
Because they wanted to fit it on 4 DVDs.
Yeah, but who cares about the extras? What do you need extras for?
The extras are supposed to be awesome, like in Utana, where they had all that useless bullshit.
The only extras in any DVD I've ever wanted were the South Park and also Futurama ones.
I did enjoy some of the commentary and the interviews on the Ghost in the Shell, but there was all like original Japanese extras. A lot of these DVDs have like American extras that just suck, or they have just the art gallery.
The only things I ever want to see are really short and really insightful commentaries by the actual creators of the thing, not by some American voice actors or adapters.
Hey, to be fair, the full commentary track to the Utena movie is worth it just to hear him being like, I really like that sort of thing.
But I also want to see deleted scenes and that sort of stuff, because even though I know deleted scenes are deleted for a reason because they suck, they're still interesting.
Yeah.
And there's actually one other kind of extra that is good, and that is the omake kind of thing. For example, Mini Pato or
Lotus Island.
Lotus Island, or what's on the Hypnotoad.
Oh my God! Thing is, Hypnotoad, was that really extra? That was a full episode.
Of course, that's why. That's what an omake is. It's actually extra, actual real content that's on there, not some addendum sort of half content like a commentary. It's an actual, hey, look, you buy this DVD, you get an actual extra episode, sort of like, they do that in comics sometimes. Like, buy this comic, and guess what? There's actually another comic in it. an actual real comic, not just like a page of something or an ad, an actual extra comic free. So when you buy, that's a real extra. Whatever. All right. So yeah, that the reason that Gunkutsua was so cheap is because apparently there's this Funimation Save program, SAVE, and they're selling.
As in save anime or save money?
I think it's save money because.
You sure it's not save anime? Because the thing I'm seeing in the anime community lately is, oh my god, buy DVDs. We're all going out of business.
Well, it definitely saves the customer money because they have all these anime series for like $15
but
bucks and less.
I'm not paying $15. I don't need the anime. This is where they fail.
Well, the thing is, I went down the list and I looked, and every single one of the shows, I was like, nope, except for one, and I bought it.
What show was that?
Galaxy Railways. But you know what I found out?
You find out.
There's actually Galaxy Railways 2, and they don't have that. It's unlicensed. So this is Galaxy Railways 1 only, which is a full series.
I considered though buying Eden of the East because it was like $30, but I kind of just want to watch it and I don't want to pirate it.
I watched it all already.
Is it worth buying? Is it worth watching again ever?
I would watch it again maybe in a few years, but I wouldn't buy it.
Yeah.
So I also bought that book, Rules of Play, that Luke Crane is always talking about.
Oh, wait. So non-anime stuff. We're talking about non-anime stuff we're buying. I went on like a board gaming orgasm spree.
What'd you buy on Amazon?
Well, because we were just at PAX, I bought Modern Art because it was like $20, and that was a fun game to whip out.
Mm-hmm.
I bought Zularetto because it was $20. It was a fun game. I bought Bonanza because that's a fucking awesome game, and it was like $20.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the second Loch Lamora book because it was super cheap. And
I already had that book.
yeah, I didn't have it. I got Lost Cities because that game is pretty good, I hear.
Yeah, it's all right.
And it was like $15.
It's a 2-people game, which is rare.
I also finally got some headphones.
Oh, which kind?
Some Panasonic like retro looking pink ones.
Pink ones,
Because
really?
the pink ones were like $30 cheaper than the identical black ones.
Uh-huh. Have to get some pics for the people who will love that.
I think they're pretty cool. I'm
eat
going to
it
be a
up.
headphone musume.
I also bought, I have a new strategy for the book club. I bought the next book club book. But
What's the next? You're not going to say?
I won't say it on the show until it's time.
It's not time yet?
No, I have a new strategy. The thing is, I don't even know if it'll be a good book. It might be a bad book, but I think it will get people to read. So,
That's tantalizing because get people to read only means one of two things, at least from your perspective. One, it's a children's book, or two, it is controversial.
neither one.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's a third. It's a
I
third
did buy
pillar.
something that I think you really are going to want.
What?
I got the ultra rare cocoa bean.
I already have the ultra rare cocoa bean. Oh, so I guess we should do news, but there is no news, or at least there's no news that I care about.
I mean, Right Stuff said that they're not going to carry Urban Vision's catalog anymore, but I can't think of
What
anything.
does Urban Vision have?
Can't think of anything they have since like Go-Go 13 or Ninja Scroll.
Mm-mm.
They got like nothing.
So I want to do a Geek Bite. Geek Bite hasn't
Geek
been done in a
Bite.
while. Geek Bite, ultra rare Geek Bite. So I got Scott's box right before PAX, and I talked about this on there, but it was so awesome, and I read the whole thing that now I have to talk about it on Geeknights. I got this trade paperback called Strange Tales. It's a Marvel comic, and there was a Strange Tales series back in the day, right? But this is a new Strange Tales series, right? And basically, in this trade paperback, you get the whole. It was 3 issues originally, and you get all 3 issues in this one trade. It's totally awesome. Now, what is Strange Tales? Well, basically, what they did is Marvel, believe it or not, went out and they got some of the best non-Marvel indie comic creators that are out there, and they had each of them do really tiny Marvel comics, like a few pages, like a page or 2, maybe, something like that. And they put them all together in this one book, and let me tell you, this book is so awesome, like unbelievably awesome. Let me just give you some of the names of people that made stuff in this book. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, so Paul Pope, the amazing, right? Peter Bagg, Dash Shaw, James Kachalka, the guy who did the hockey and the elf and all that stuff, right? You got Nick Gurwitch. You know who that is? Prairie Battle Fellowship, Nick Gurwitch.
He's an important man.
Yeah.
Wonder if that's updated.
And Matt Kint, Super Spy Matt Kint.
Oh, I really liked Super Spy.
Jason from Europe. doing
our Jason.
Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus by Jason.
Oh man, wait, Jason doing Spider-Man? I picture a forlorn-looking Spider-Man standing there.
It's
being all cool.
It's totally, this book is like so epic. You got fucking like Galactus like eating the planet, getting a big fat gut from eating too many planets. You got a really crazy, freaked out Hulk. You got all, it's totally off the hook.
I'm all about this.
This book is totally sweet.
Gonna have to borrow it and perhaps read it.
Everybody should go out to Amazon and buy Strange Tales, the trade paperback from Marvel Comics. You know what? They're doing Strange Tales Max, which is gonna be all more hardcore and dark and for serious than regular Strange Tales. So it's gonna be totally sweet.
So things of the day. What do you got for me?
So we were at PAX West 2010, right? And many things happened there, but we can't talk about them because then what will we talk about when we do the PAX show? And this show will become full of PAX talk and it'll become the PAX show. So, but that does not mean I cannot steal a thing of the day from PAX. And you know what? I'm probably going to steal a bunch of things of the day from PAX because I need some things of the day. So here is a thing that happened at PAX that was, I guess, indirectly our fault that it happened, but I was not present at the time. But luckily, it is on the YouTubes. In this video, you see the man, John St. John.
Balls of steel.
In the MagFest sponsored jam space. And he is singing the song that is known as Free Bird. In its entirety. So
you got to admit, it was pretty great at the Omegathon finale when they're like, "Can you guess the game?" And that one guy yelled above everybody else, "Free Bird."
That was a great guy. But yeah, here is this video for your entertainment.
All right. So I, for once, do not have a video. I was going to do that synchronized walking on College Humor from Japan because typical Wednesday thing of the day fodder. But instead, I have an article that I don't have any commentary about. So I figure I'll link to it. This is my thing of the day, but then I don't have to talk about it. It's by Debito Arudo, who seems to write somewhat inflammatory articles for the Japan Times.
So it's a Japanese troll?
Not troll. They're inflammatory, but they're very observational and correct. Like this most recent one before this talks about how in Japan there's super racism against non-Japanese people in hostels, and if you're not Japanese, they pretty much won't let you stay in hostels.
That's true.
Yeah.
I guess.
So this
it
one
sounds true. I don't know.
He talks about the JET program and the fact that the Japanese people, by and large, speak English worse than any other people in the world.
They do. They pronounce things pretty poorly, but they
have perfect grammar, and he talks about that in extensive detail as to why he thinks that is. And he gets really into this stuff about the culture of the classroom and what programs like JET really do and what happens when you get a fluent English speaker in a classroom after the kind of tutelage that they get in Japan about English up to that point. He basically says they teach English the way they teach Latin in America. And he makes really interesting points, and it's a really good read, but I didn't really feel like commenting on it on the show other than getting you to read it.
Alrighty.
And if you want to read about Japan and stuff that is kind of fucked up, Debito Arudo is the way to go.
Yeah, I just, I worry because it sounds like almost this is like a Fox News person of Japan almost, So I wonder.
And without further ado, I guess it's time for the meta moment.
Let's keep the meta moment kind of short here.
Almost everything we care about is done. We got the New York Anime Festival, New York Comic Con coming up. We're doing like 2 panels at it. We'll be there. Same weekend.
October 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Is 10-10-10, the Burning Con, which is actually the 8th, 9th, and 10th.
And I think, let me check my calendar here.
I thought you wanted to keep it quick, and then you're like delaying me trying to look shit up.
October 8th is also a board game night, as is this Friday.
Nerd NYC board game night.
This Friday, September 10th, is also a Nerd NYC board game night.
9-10 and 10-10.
Yep. And this Saturday, September 11th, is Recess. Downtown, a full day of Nerd NYC gaming.
Yep. You want to play some role-playing games with the likes of us, or some board games, or hang out? We'll be there.
There are only 3 other things you have to know. Monday, September 13th. Oh, no. Monday, no. God damn it. Sunday, September 19th is International Takalaki Matey Day. Arr.
You mean like a pirate?
Aye.
Matey?
And
should we do what we did many years ago where we did the entire first half of the show talking like pirates?
No. September 25th and 26th is the New York City World Maker Fair. surprisingly, in
Oh,
the
shit.
same general location as the New World Fair without the word maker in the middle.
I forgot all about that.
Yep. I think that
The
covers.
book club book is Golden Apples of the Sun, Ray Bradbury. We're going to review it really soon, so read it.
Yep.
It's short. It's like 22 to 4-page short stories. It's not that hard.
Is there any other meta stuff we have to cover? If there is, we'll cover it later. That's the end of that moment.
That was not prepared at all and kind of crappy.
What?
Yeah, on this day, let me look up the date. We're doing something.
Because I was looking at the wrong thing.
90% of this stuff no one cares about unless they live in New York.
We need to get like the non-New York convention schedule, so we can tell like the next, relatively major anime, gaming, comic conventions that are
I don't know.
not
Do people
in New
even
York.
care? Anyone who cares about that stuff probably already knows.
You'd be surprised how many people they'll post even in our forums, which means they're paying attention to the world. A convention happens near them and they don't find out until afterwards.
True. Or even like I remember at Nerd NYC, super hardcore gamers, and a bunch of them that never heard of PAX or Penny Arcade, and yet they're like super video game, super board game.
Yep, it happens.
And it's not like they don't like Penny Arcade; it's like they'd never even heard of it.
Yep. So we should get like a list of cons that are relatively big. I don't want to talk about like the Holiday Inn guy shows up selling some comics in a box.
Oh, you mean like that comic con in Wildwood that we go to
See,
every
but
year?
it's not a con. It's just a.
It's a con.
It's not a con.
It's a
a
con.
sales.
It's a convention.
It's not.
It is a convention.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It
Shall
needs
I
to
look
have
up the definition of convention?
It needs to have events to be a convention.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it
Just
does.
a dealer's room counts.
No, it's not. So then the mall's a convention. The
No,
shopping
because that's
mall.
permanent.
So any temporary, it's a flea market. Is
Yeah,
what it is.
basically, flea market convention, basically the same thing.
Nope,
So,
a flea
yeah,
market is not a convention.
I would argue that they are in fact the same thing.
A flea market would have to have a scheduled events to be a convention.
However, I would argue that many conventions do have fleas.
That is true.
So when we're talking about Hypnotoad as an extra, and we actually watch. And when I say we, I mean me and Scott and the entire front row crew. For any new listeners who missed this old episode, we watched the entire episode of Hypnotoad that was on that one Futurama.
The thing
DVD.
is, I don't remember if anything happened.
Stuff
at
happened
the end or not.
Quite a bit happened, in fact.
I don't remember.
We watched as a group the entire thing. No one got bored. No one went and did anything. In fact,
We were bored.
I don't think anyone looked away from the screen.
I looked away.
I think we had a serotonin problem from the Hobbit joke. But Futurama, animation, one of the more important, beloved, well-known, well-loved, beloved cartoons to ever be shown on American television. Very popular worldwide even. And it's Wednesday, and we've never talked about it.
Yeah, I mean, we're like, I watched a whole bunch of animes, but Rim really hasn't, and I read a whole bunch of comics, but Rim really.
I'm watching Fist of the North Star, and I'm watching
I
Rose
already
of
finished
Versailles.
that.
Yeah.
I already finished that. I'm almost finished with that one. So I'm just way ahead of you. So
Yeah.
that's the problem.
Because I've been reading books.
I also been reading books. You have also not been shit talking. You're just way behind on everything.
I've been actually working on Shit Talk Q quite a bit.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
we'll see when I see some shit.
Because PAX was our last big thing. The next important thing we have to do is PAX.
Well, when I see some poop, I'll believe that you are not shit talking. There you go. All right. So so I said, hey, Futurama's animation, and we've never done a show about that. And you know what? People will probably really like a show on that. So let's do a show on that.
Wait, this opens the door. We could do a show on The Simpsons.
Yeah.
We could do a show on South Park. Why Futurama? Why is Futurama different from The Simpsons? They're both still going. They're both wildly popular. They're both good.
Well, I think the thing with Futurama is that it has so much more nerd cred and is much more appropriate for Geeknights. Because, first of all, it is all sci-fi-y, right? And it has a future spacey theme.
Large numbers of surprisingly subtle physics jokes.
Yeah, and the Simpsons has jokes all over the place too, like that. And it has plenty of geek cred as well. You're not gonna go in a comic book store without seeing some Simpsons stuff. You got Simpsons comics, you got Comic Book Guy. There's plenty of nerd jokes. Alan Moore was on The Simpsons in a guest appearance, right? There's plenty of nerd cred going on there. But I think, the Futurama is just a little bit more nerdy, and I think it's really nerds that are propping it up, right? Because it didn't really get the TV ratings. It went away, but then the nerds sort of kept it alive.
It's one of the only
somehow.
times the nerds who wanted something to come back actually got what they wanted. I mean, how much did people lose their shit about Firefly? Oh my God, we gotta fight to bring Firefly back. It's never coming back.
I think the thing is with things like Firefly is that you have there are a few loud fans. The number of fans isn't actually that large. It just seems larger than it is because there's a few loud ones, and not only are they loud, but they're extra dedicated. So you have an event, they all show up and pack the house.
We have
if
a
you have
certain friend.
if you have a Simpsons event, there's got to be 100 times more Simpsons fans than Firefly fans. But if you have an event, those people who are Simpsons fans, they just watch it every Sunday. They don't. It's not their lives. You know, they don't live and breathe Simpsons. There's only so many people who do that. So they're not going to show up in droves and scream on the internet if there's a Simpsons event or a Simpsons thing or whatever. You know, there's only some people who will do that.
So really, I think why Futurama is relevant is that, you know, The Simpsons is still going, but I watched a whole bunch of episodes of it in the last few weeks. It's really not that funny anymore at all. It's really kind of mainstream and mainstream and lame do not necessarily mean the same thing, but The Simpsons is really just kind of these like obvious ham-fisted pop culture jokes.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing is that when you do the pop culture jokes, you know, you're really sort of like, it's not enjoyable to anyone who isn't a person who is in pop culture.
But look at old Simpsons, like Willie, you know, the Shinnin'. That was mostly kind of timeless jokes. You can watch the episode today; it's just as funny.
Well, that's because it was still a pop culture reference to The Shinning.
But it was a pop culture reference to what was itself a timeless thing.
Exactly what I was about to say. You know, so if you look at like old Looney Tunes episodes, right? The ones that hold up are the ones that just have generic jokes, like, you know, rabbit season, duck season, right? But the ones that are like where they're impersonating famous people of the time, like, you know, Jack Benny or whoever.
I would argue that those still work. For example,
they work, but they don't work on people who don't know who those famous people were.
But the Groucho Marx ones definitely work because I think a lot of people think that kind of character is Bugs Bunny and don't realize that there was a Groucho Marx.
Yeah, I think that
worries
too.
me. Or Rodney Dangerfield. I think people think that is a character but don't know who Rodney Dangerfield is.
Yeah, but you know the point is that
or what's his name? Yes.
Peter Lorre.
Yeah, Peter Lorre. Or how about yes?
I don't know who that is.
You don't know who that guy is?
No.
He's the hotel manager in the Hotel Broken Arms. Famous actor and voice actor.
All right.
Yes. I can't do it.
Okay.
My voice is still kind of shot from PAX. But Futurama is mostly, with the exception of that iPhone episode they just did, pretty timeless, I think.
Yeah. And the other thing is that the characters are just so much, you know, like the variety in there. You got so much, you know, each one is more exaggerated and has more shtick going on, right? Whereas the Simpsons, it's like, you know, they have just this huge cast, right? Where each one does a little bit.
Of course, notice how that's a recent phenomenon. The Simpsons had, you know, the core, and they're all look at the early eras of The Simpsons. You basically define them by, was it about Bart or was it about Homer? And then you defined it by, was it when Homer was stupid, when he was evil, when he was cunning, all these eras of The Simpsons. And every now and then they'd give, like, Moe would have an episode. And then they kind of ran out of stuff to do, and I feel like now, like, half the episodes are about Moe.
Yeah, I don't even know anymore.
It's always Moe.
But in
in
Futurama, they have core characters. And they've brought a few in, you know, like Zap Brannigan became more important, and I guess...
I love Zap Brannigan.
What's the green guy? The alien.
Kiff,
yeah. He became more important, right? But you know, but other than that, you know, most of the characters who are side characters, like, you know,
Scruffy,
Nixon and Scruffy and Hedonism Bot,
they maintain like the right level of.
They maintain their sideness. There isn't a Hedonism Bot episode,
but they're still strong. A Hedonism Bot episode would, I think, harken the end of Futurama.
That would be a shark jumpage, even though Hedonism Bot's the best.
I love Hedonism Bot,
but it would be shark jumpage.
But it's the same thing. I love Moe. Moe Sislak was my favorite character in The Simpsons just because of two knives. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
But then now, like, there's a Moe episode, and I just don't care.
Yeah. The thing is, in Futurama, every episode focuses usually on one of the core characters, a Zoidberg or an Amy, right, or a Fry or something like that. And then the other characters, all the main ones, are all in there constantly, you know? And the side characters, they remain side. They'll show up for like 1 second in the episode and be gone.
I've noticed something too. They're kind of talking about like why
and they
Futurama...
can keep cranking the episodes, and they still work even though they're keeping the focus on the main crew.
Think about nerd culture when you were in high school. You know, back when The Simpsons was still, you know, the old kind of Simpsons, and even early college. People would, like, Simpsons quoting was kind of like the nerd thing to do. Like, you'd always make the Simpsons reference in conversation. It would just come up. You mostly hear the Futurama references around nerds. You don't hear that many Simpsons references, and if you do, it's always old Simpsons.
That's true.
I feel like Futurama is the mantle of like, that is the nerd cartoon. And I guess the only other cartoon I see referenced a lot are like Venture Brothers or Archer.
South Park.
South Park.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Plus, name the good, popular cartoons that are on TV or were recently on TV in America.
That weren't animes?
That weren't anime. They're just animation. Cartoons.
Futurama, South Park?
Yeah. And I would argue Archer. You didn't watch Archer, but Archer is fucking hilarious.
Whatever.
And I think a lot of people are quoting Archer and you just don't notice because you didn't watch it.
It is very likely that many people quote things, and I have no idea that they are quoting something because I did not watch the thing that they are quoting. Much like someone watching a non-timeless Simpsons episode with pop culture references.
Yeah, The Simpsons kind of went the Shrek route. I mean, Shrek was, it's all just pop culture that won't make any sense 10 years from now.
Yep.
Of course, I worry that there's going to be a day when no one knows what the shinin was.
There are people already who don't know what the shinning is.
I know. I mean, the fact that we'll go to an anime con and we're like, how many people haven't seen Cowboy Bebop? And like half the crowd raises their hands. And then we're like, how many people haven't seen Star Wars? And about half the crowd raises their hands.
There were people who raised their hand.
Yeah.
And there were many gasps.
But there will be a day when the gasp is, you've seen Star Wars? Which, I mean, think of this. Every PAX we have been to has the focal point of the keynote not been Star Wars changed everything.
Every single PAX keynote speaker always mentions and makes a big deal out of how Star Wars changed everything in their lives.
Anime, too. Every anime director we ever see in person is like, yeah, Star Wars fucking changed everything for me.
But meanwhile, right, it's so disappointing that George Lucas is a piece of shit, right?
No, he's not. You know what happened there? I mean, it's a sad story. He was a great director, and then his neck killed him and continued making movies.
The thing is, he didn't even direct Empire Strikes Back or
I know.
Return of the Jedi. He gets all this credit,
Well, it's kind of like M. Night Shyamalan, who unfortunately died before he could make the Avatar movie I was looking forward to.
I'm just saying, it's like
It's like who?
Every other awesome thing that is huge in geek
look at the
culture,
difference.
the person is also awesome.
Here's a big contrast. So we've got Lucas, right? There was a happy accident that all the people around him were amazingly competent, and this awesome work came out, and he was kind of a mediocre, director, all things considered. Meanwhile, look at Sochi Khan, who wrote and directed, like, everything.
Yep. Anyway, why couldn't they take Lucas instead?
So
we don't need him anymore.
So Futurama is just kind of, for nerds, this is our show. This is what we've got. And also look at Family Guy. Family Guy was super popular, died, and the nerds got what they wanted and came back. Remember that first episode when it came back? When they brought back Ollie Williams with the Black U weather forecast? And we knew that they knew what made the show funny, and then they never did that again. And the show is just self-referential crap and pop culture. It's very rare that a show comes back and maintains goodness.
Yeah, it is very rare. I mean, the thing is, I will not lie. I personally think that the Futurama comeback was it was a decline in quality, but it was not so much of a decline as to no longer be good. It went from 10 to 8.5,
I would argue that most of the decline was in the interim movies because they were good, but because they were long,
that was
they tried to plot way too much. And Futurama is not about plot. It is about Azusa.
Yeah, that was sort of the slope downwards, right? It's like the movies were all okay, but the Beast of the Billion Backs, that was way too long.
I like that one a lot, though.
I really like the one with the fantasy one the best.
Oh, that Bender's Game was okay, but it had some really kind of crap moments near the end. The plot was kind of dumb, but the individual jokes in that one made me laugh so hard that I almost peed.
Yeah, that's why I like it the best, because it's all about the actual jokes,
I mean, that was the episode. That was the one we watched. It might have just been because it was late, but it was the whole front row crew laying all on top of each other's big pile on that old ass TV late at night after a burning wheel game. And he made that Hobbit joke, and we laughed for 20 minutes and couldn't stop, and I couldn't breathe.
Yep.
That was the same night we watched Hypnotoad.
Yep. But yeah, it's the movies, they were all right, and some of them were better than others, but it's sort of now they started I guess it's technically the 6th season because they're calling the movies the 5th season, right? And all the episodes in the current season, I've watched most of them. There might be one or two new ones I haven't watched, but I've watched all the ones up, quite a few. And the quality is pretty steady. All the episodes are equal. They're all funny, but none of them are, oh my God, funny. They're not like memorable for all time funny. They're just really good and worth watching kind of funny. Whereas I feel that the episodes from before, right, some of the older ones are all time funny, But that's how it goes. It's better to have, some good stuff than to have no stuff.
Of course,
And
Futurama
especially
always,
in the absence of South Park. Where
it
the hell
also
is
kind
South
of
Park?
treads this line between it is mostly comedy, but there is kind of a plot, and you do care about the characters. Like, there is good writing and good story, and you really, like, you are sympathetic. And this is a show that makes a lot of people cry, and it's very emotional sometimes.
Mhm.
The dog episode.
Yeah, I mean, that is one thing that Futurama has.
Family Guy never has that. You don't give
that
a shit about
appeals,
those people.
right? That South Park, Simpsons, Family Guy, none of the other shows have, and I think this is why nerds dig it a little bit more, is that it actually has this mild continuity. It's like any episode is episodic. You can just watch it. But sort of like Cowboy Bebop, right? Some episodes are continuity episodes, And they go with each other. And the characters actually sort of kind of change a little bit over time. Their personalities don't change. Their shticks don't change. Bender still steals and is a jerk and,
Ooh, ah, ooh, ah. And I noticed Claptrap in Borderlands is Bender who's not a jerk, I've decided.
That's right.
Because that's all he is. He's Bender if Bender was just not a complete asshole.
Yeah. But yeah, I got to finish that game. But but you have these characters that continue over time with a mild continuity to it, and there's actually some development. And because of that, they can actually make a thing where you care about the characters based on their history. Whereas, like, The Simpsons can't really do that. They might be able to make an episode where the story of that single episode is sad or, has some sort of, emotional message as opposed to just pure comedy.
Yep, but the characters can't change.
But they can't do it based on the main characters or anything like that. It has to be like, oh my God, Lisa Simpson met a really sad person and we learn about the sad person.
Like, get this, in a recent episode, they gave Bart a girlfriend.
Oh, man.
And that didn't continue in the next episode. The character's just gone as far as I can tell.
Yeah, right?
But it ended with, like, they're totally dating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How about that? How'd you know that?
Because I watched it.
Whoa.
And I was reminded of it. Remember we had the private West Coast Front Row Crew after party at PAX?
Yep.
That episode was on the screen in the background where we were hanging out.
Oh, I barely looked at it. I just sort of glanced and I was like, oh, Simpsons. And I didn't really watch the episode.
I didn't watch it either,
There
but I
was no
saw it.
audio
I was
or
like,
subtitles, so it wouldn't have mattered anyway.
It's that episode. Plus, we were too busy hanging out with Aaron Clark. PAX Aaron Clark, not Otakon Aaron Clark.
Good Aaron Clark, not his evil twin from the East.
We got to make that clear. But
I don't even know if he's a twin. Not even close. The divergence of the level of awesomeness is so great that it's like hard to imagine that both the people have the same name.
Wow, that was a simultaneous.
They have nothing else in common.
You realize that was simultaneously a shout out and what I can only call a reverse shout out.
Oh shit.
Luckily, I don't think the bad Aaron Clark actually listens to our show.
If he did, it would make him less crappy.
Here, everyone whose name is Aaron Clark, email us. Let us know you listen.
Let's get the phone book. There's plenty of Aaron Clarks in the phone book. There's no shortage. I guarantee at least 10 in any phone book. Any
reason,
U.S. phone book.
I just can't help but think back to we were having some argument at the shore about like information being free, and your argument was basically the phone book never killed anyone. And I think my rebuttal and proof that you were wrong was Sarah Connor. Anyway,
Sarah Connor lived.
The other like 7 Sarah Connors didn't.
That's their problem.
So Futurama.
It's awesome. Yeah.
It's hard to review things that we like.
What's some of your favorite episodes?
That's such a crap cop-out.
What about them makes them your favorite episodes?
Again, my favorite episode straight up is the Gargoyle one because it has the old jokes.
Stop stealing my favorite episode.
It has the old jokes and the gargoyle, and then just, and now little one, that is how Papa
Okay.
and freedom.
That is how Papa gets freedom.
Now, bon nuit.
Bon
Bon
nuit.
nuit to you all.
Bon nuit.
That was,
Mhm.
I don't know, there's something about that episode. And just.
Well, it's because it's like they all fall in like the time goop and they're like
No, but it
turning
was
into
like the Shimming
babies
episode. There were
and-
so many like concise, quotable memes in it. My what?
Like what? Get a job.
Got a job. I forgot that was in the same episode.
Was it in the same episode?
I don't think so.
I don't know. That was also an excellent episode.
They all kind of blend
with
together.
the time traveling boxes and the get a job. That's a good one.
That wasn't time traveling boxes. That was universes in boxes.
All right, universes in the boxes.
Kind of Inception.
They all feel the same way. Like a time travel episode, a universe switching episode, a space travel planet switching episode. They all feel like the same thing.
Remember, they didn't actually travel through time. They just started Merlining.
Yeah, the time travel episode was the Fry does his grandma episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the time travel, time shifting of bodies, and world boxes were 3 different episodes, you realize.
Yeah. It's also, I think that sometimes there are self-referential jokes in Futurama. Like they'll insult Fry for getting with his grandma or something like that. But or as I remember them doing that. But it's not like it's different to reference your own continuity to make a joke than it is to sort of just retell the same joke over and over again. Like just Ollie Williams is there. Ollie Williams is there again.
It's only a matter of artistry because you can do both. Venture Brothers and Archer did the self-referential thing, I think, the right way. Futurama does it in like a plotty way that's also good. And say Family Guy, at first they made the self-referential that was kind of the meta, like, haha, we know that you liked this character and his one joke. But then they just kind of keep using like these meta jokes. Like that chicken will just fucking come out of nowhere and attack Peter. It's like, all right, really?
Yeah, it's like, think about this. Ollie Williams from Family Guy, right? Why is he funny? He's funny because
it came out of nowhere.
It's funny because it came out of nowhere and because he says it in a funny way.
It's gonna rain.
It's gonna rain, right? It's the physicality of it, the sound of it is funny. It's just a funny sound. It's funny for the same reason that getting hit with a pie in the face is funny, because it looks funny, right? It's just hilarious to look at and out of the ordinary.
So if you're just going to reference it straight up...
If you do it again, it's only funny. It's not actually funny for him to just keep saying it's going to rain over and over again. No, it depends.
You got to look, doing the exact same joke or the same style of joke one more time later is also funny, because that, a lot of comedians do that.
But it's funny because, hey, I'm reminded of the funny joke from a second ago that's not an old joke yet.
You can't do it the third time unless you do the comedian thing where you do it once, do it twice, don't do it for a long time, and then bring it all back to that at the end.
But you can't do that across multiple episodes.
No,
they have
you
to
can't.
do it within a single episode, right? If you do it across multiple episodes, that doesn't work at all.
But like, look at Archer and Venture Brothers. This is where you can do the sort of self-referential comedy in the right way, because then it's more of a character development thing. Like, you're getting to know the character.
That's what Futurama has.
Yeah.
That the other ones
like
don't
in Archer,
have.
they have this thing where, like, in one of the early episodes, like, someone's like, that's how you get ants, and the other character's just like, hey, yep. And they said, like, a yep. Kind of like Front Row Crew, we have stuff like that. We say things in certain ways. And that yep, nope kind of characters do that to each other the way friends do throughout the entire show. And then it becomes kind of this meta joke later. That's the right way to do it. Not just having the chicken suit come out, yell, it's going to rain, while a deaf guy runs by all greased up. Yeah, Family Guy's not funny anymore.
Here's another example, right? So Bender has his bite my shiny metal ass, right?
Remember when he didn't have his shiny metal ass anymore?
That is very similar.
Bite my majestic golden ass?
To Bender's, to Bart's eat my shorts, right? But Bart, he stopped with the eat my shorts and the ay caramba and such, and don't have a cowman. Why? He only really said those things once, and they were only memorable slogans because people put them on t-shirts and shit, right?
Well, think of this. Back then, this is just kind of unrelated, food for thought. Back then, in the eat my shorts, ay caramba era of The Simpsons, I, at Cedar Point, had to turn my ay caramba shirt inside out. They wouldn't let me into the park because it was bad. And
what's bad about ay caramba?
Back then, parents would not let kids watch the fucking Simpsons. The Simpsons was the controversial show.
But bite my shiny metal ass is better than ay caramba.
Yeah, look how far society's come.
We've come a long way.
Yeah, we have.
But anyway, so those jokes, they really only told them once in The Simpsons. And they couldn't really use them again, to great effect. They were basically they just fell flat. Right?
Recently, they did a few eat my shorts jokes.
But the thing is with Bender,
they were 100% meta, but they did it.
You can do bite my shiny metal ass, but he doesn't just say it, right? They remix it each time. They have learned from the internet. So instead of it, he
only glorious golden ass.
Yeah, he only said like bite my shiny metal ass like a few times, and every other time he said it, it was always a remix. Like he was wooden once, and he would be like bite my splintery wooden ass, or one time like his ass fell off or something, and he was like, oh no, bite.
No, he sold it to the devil.
Oh right, he sold his ass to the devil. Yeah. So they mix it up if they want to reuse it, I mean, if Bart actually did stuff with his shorts, or found interest, they could have kept that going, but they were not as clever. And because they didn't have the continuity, right, that was really a flop if they would have tried to do that at all. And there was no way they could have kept it going for that many years because, Simpsons did it.
Except Simpsons Did It is almost a South Park at this point.
It is indeed a South Park. It is indeed. All right, is there anything else to say here?
The only thing I really want to say is that Futurama started in 1999.
I know, how fucked up is that, right?
Which is like 12 years ago.
It went for 4 years. So in 2003 it ended.
10 years ago.
It ended in 2003, and the movies came out when?
2003.
Well, no, that's when the TV show ended. So when did the first movie come out?
2008.
So there are 5 years of no Futurama. That's a fucking long time.
Wait. So Team Fortress 2 was what, like 9 years, 10 years in the making? And then, holy shit, it came out. Duke Nukem Forever even fucking came out.
It did it?
Yeah, it did.
Well, it's not in the stores yet.
I played it.
You played a demo. There were demos before.
I fucking played Duke Nukem Forever. John St. John, the voice of Duke Nukem, took me into the back room. I fucking played
and he
Duke
fucked you
Nukem
with his
Forever.
Balls of steel.
And then a booth babe gave me a tank top.
John
and
St.
some
John
steroids.
gave you a tank top to cover up after. The thing is that just because you could have played it just a demo, that was not the full game. It is not in the store. We do not know.
So I think the real notable thing about Futurama is that nerds always demand shit. And sometimes, like in the situation of Tribes 2, you've got to ignore those nerds and not fuck up your game. And sometimes, in the situation of Family Guy, you've got to understand what made your show great in the first place. I mean, we did a whole panel at PAX where we talked about like ActRaiser, this video game. And it had the overworld map thing that was cool, and it had this shitty side-scroller kind of tacked on. And the game was super popular. So the people who made it were like, you know what? Let's make a sequel. Nobody cared about that cool overworld part. Clearly what made this game awesome was that shitty side-scroller. Make a sequel, just shitty side-scroller.
Yeah.
I feel like Family Guy, when it came back, did that. They're like, what made the show popular? Stupid self-referential humor. Let's just go with that.
They were lazy, and it worked. I mean, that's the one thing. Look at South Park, right? They started off with poop jokes. It seems like all the shows start with poop jokes.
Scarily enough, watching some South Park again, the poop joke era lasted like a few episodes in the first season. They got into social commentary, like actual social commentary, and jokes that weren't just, oh my God, those kids are swearing, pretty fucking quick.
Yeah, it's like a difficulty curve in a video game. You start with low difficulty. You get with the low brow, and then you raise the brow with a nice challenge curve. You get the show gets progressively more difficult.
I mean, South Park today is, I think, some of the better popular social commentary television out there.
Maybe the best. But, some of these other shows like Family Guy, they lowered the brow. They didn't raise the brow. They lowered
Family Guy
the
is
brow.
not saying anything about society.
Not really, no. The Simpsons does sometimes. And Futurama does.
Simpsons, it says such milquetoast things nowadays.
Futurama does sometimes, kind of. But that's about it. It's all good. All right.
I think Futurama's social commentary is more taking everything that every trend in our current world and just driving them out to the extreme exaggeration of what if this course continues that long. And in that way, it's weird how Futurama is incredibly over the top and inaccurate, and yet in many ways very spiritually accurate to what our society is like if you take it to the extreme in every direction at once.
Well, I guess that really applies to its theme of Futurama, right? You take something that we have currently and you extract it through the future, and you look at all the famous people of current time with their heads are in a jar and stuff like that.
Yeah, but look at the Populux style architecture in
or they'll
the
be
world.
No robo sex. There's a social commentary in a Futurama.
But it's so
it takes a current social issue and extracts it out to the future. Robos.
Yep, but they rarely make that the
Robophobes.
focus of the episode. The real focus of the episode is the character-driven joke humor.
Well, that's the difference between
what kind of word is joke humor?
That's the difference. That's what South Park, right, will make the focus of the episode that social commentary and have the sort of plot on the side, whereas Futurama is the same thing, only flipped slightly so, right?
Thing is, part of my feeling about South Park is colored by the fact that I've watched so many of those one-episode commentaries.
We watched the Futurama extras and things
But
too.
the commentators weren't as good. They didn't talk as much about like the jokes, and they were long, and I want to watch them all the way through. It wasn't like South Park where they'll tell you the secret that, yeah, this whole episode I
terrible
just
secret
really,
of space.
really wanted to see Cartman in his little boat T-shirt. 'Cause I feel like that really, like that's funny to me.
It is really funny.
Or we didn't know what the fuck we were doing, so crab people.
Yeah.
This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geeknights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.